So hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel Akash Thing. So today we will continue our learning on the Python playlist on this Boolean data type especially. And in our last video we covered basics of this Boolean data type. Today we are going to cover some advanced thing that this Boolean data type is getting used in Python, not just true and false, but it's beyond that as well. So that's where we will try to understand this bool function in detail, and also we'll get clarity around this truthy and falsy concept around this boolean. So with that, let's get started. So let's directly jump into this section. Yeah. So yeah, in last class we have seen like how this is returning true and false whenever we are passing 0 or 1 or true or false. But let's say I pass a number 6. What is it going to return in that case? Is it going to fail or is it going to return me true or false in this case as well? Let's try to run and see. It gave me true. Now if I entered here instead of 6 minus 6, it again gave me true. Now if I enter a very big number, then again it gave me true. So for any number it's giving me true except for 0. It is giving me false, right? Similarly, for any string, if I try to pass, it is giving me true again. But if I don't pass anything, it's giving me false. So this is indicating something, right? I think that indication is around substance or magnitude that this is holding inside. So let's try to understand that using this basic truthy and falsy concept. So as I have already mentioned everything in detail, you will be able to understand it yourself. But let me just give you a walkthrough. So when Python evaluates non-Boolean objects, non-Boolean object is what? Something that is not true or something that is not false. So these are non-Boolean objects like numbers, list, array, or dictionary, set. It can be anything, string as well. So whenever Python try to evaluate non-Boolean object in a logical condition, it uses a concept called truthiness. Okay. Now, where this truthiness comes in picture. So here we have two terms, falsy, truthy. Falsy is falsiness and truthy is truthiness. Now, what is this falsiness represents? And accordingly, we will also understand what this truthiness represents. So falsiness is nothing but there is nothingness kind of feeling. Nothingness or emptiness. You might have heard the song. There's so emptiness. But yeah, just ignore that. So it's kind of that only. So there is nothing, no matter involved. Uh, Something is very empty and kind of vacuum, you can say. So that thing it is tried to represent using falsiness. Instead of just like wrong statement, it is also trying to hold some material or substance. So opposite of that, like not holding anything. So kind of dead state you can also. So that is what is falsiness here. So for example, 0 is a falsiness because it's absence of any quantity. 0 kg is like nil. Similarly, empty string. It is also a text box but nothing inside. Similarly for none. None is what? Just a stakeholder or a placeholder for nothing there, right? So whenever we have these values, even this list or set without any value, so kind of container exists, but it is currently empty, or just a false, which is basic definition of non-occurrence. So all these things represents falsiness, and whenever Python try to evaluate this using this boolean, it is going to always give me false. And just the opposite of it applies to truthiness, which means existence. There should be some substance. There should be active state in which we can see it. So all the numbers, whether it is 1, -5, or infinity or anything. I think infinity we need to check, but yeah. And then we have false as well. False inside a string. So something is contained inside the string, right? So this is something, like this is not emptiness or nothingness. Similarly, if false or none is present inside a container like list or set, then also it is not emptiness. So it is going to be truthiness, because there is some existence, something is existing, whether it's none or any a string or any value, doesn't matter. And then true ultimately is like occurrence. So I think this is wrong. So yeah. So hope you got this understanding that bool is not just representing true and false values, or it can just be applied over that, but it can be applied over these as well. Now let's try to run this and see what the output we get. So when we applied boolean over 0, it gave me true, but if I apply it over a number, we also saw that it gave us true because there is something. Similarly, when we apply boolean over just empty string, there is nothing inside, it is going to give me false. Otherwise, it will give me true. So let's write it just for our remembrance. So this is true, this is true, this is false, this is true. And then boolean of none is again going to be false because there is nothingness. Let's try to execute it and see and match our answer. You can see, uh, oh, sorry, Boolean 0 is false. Sorry. If it is 1, then it's true. So, yeah, that's correct. I have misrepresented it. Yeah. So, this is correct, this is correct, this is correct, this is correct, this is also correct. Now, let me see what else we can check here. Okay, before jumping here, I think let's check out some of the functionalities that we have seen. So, for example, bool of a string that is having false. What is this? Since it is having some value, although false is written inside the string, doesn't matter, it is going to give me true. You saw true. Similarly, if I pass it, if I pass false inside my this list, it is also going to give me true. All right. And if you don't pass anything, it's going to give me false. Similarly, for the set as well, it's false. And if you pass something like none, it's going to give me true. So you've seen like it's working good for everything, and this is where it becomes a very useful parameter whenever we are writing a if else statement for some condition in our Python code while building application, production grade application also. So we most of the time use this kind of functionality. Instead of defining a conditional based if else, we can also define this kind of if else, that if there is some existence, go ahead. Otherwise, don't go ahead if there is no existence of the data or nothing is there then. Now, on top of it, there is a rule of or and a rule of and, which I think, yeah. So, which is what? Let's try to understand. So here I have defined first variable, which is empty string, which is nothingness, and then the second variable, which is having some value as guessed. Now, if I apply a OR condition on top of it, so as we saw earlier, that how OR operator works, it's like if we have true and true, then it's going to give me true, or, and if we have false true or true false, it's also going to give me true. But if we have false false, it's going to give me false. But here we don't have that true and false. Here we have this is blank string and this is filled string. So what we learned just now, like this represents false and this represents truth based on the falsy and the truthy value, right? Concept. So now if I apply a OR operator, it will give me true, right? So instead of true, so first let me ask you, will it give me true or will it give me guessed? Okay, let's see directly by running it. My guess is it will give me this guessed value instead of the true. Let's try to run and see. You can see it gave me guessed. Now similarly, if we do it here, and operator, so both of them are like filled values. So both of them are representing true. Now true will with true. Now, since both of them are true, either it's going to return me true or a value out of one out of these. It can't represent both values. So which one it's going to represent? Going to give. So that's where it is going to give me the second value. Let's understand it now. You can see it gave me the second value. Now, why it gave me the second value and not the first value? So that is what I wanted to explain here. So whenever we apply this OR operation, so you can see it stops evaluating and hands you that exact object. Okay. So after all this condition came, or this value it tried to evaluate, so it looks for the first truthy value it can find. So whichever is first, it is going to return me that. So for example, let's try to test this also. If I add one more truth value here, you can evaluate like whether it is going to give me that or this. So I wrote my name Akash. Now just guess. I think it is going to be guessed, right? The first true value according to the definition. See, it gave me guessed only. So that is how it's going to work. If I replace guessed here by something like guest 1, then it is going to give me guest 1, not Akash. The first one it came across, it gave me that. So that's where it's very important to remember. Otherwise, this kind of interview question can easily come and anyone can confuse you. Similarly, for the AND operation, we have it requires everything to be truthy and it evaluates from left to right. Left to right means this side. It starts from here. If it hits a false value, it stops immediately and returns it. And if it makes it all the way to the end without falling, that means it goes till the end, which is like this one. It returns the very last object that like helps it in making that final decision that to return success. So that's why in this case we got the last value hello. Now let's try to add one more value here. Let's say Akash and see what the outcome comes. You see, the last outcome is Akash. And if I add and a string, so it is going to fail. Let's see what it gives. It didn't give me anything, right? Because it has not passed the condition. And even if I remove everything and just use these two, then also it's not going to return me anything. So yeah, I think this is all I wanted to cover, and just to make your concept to solidify a little bit, and so that you can use this concept in the further code, and we are also going to use it while we are learning this Python. So hope you liked it and you learned this concept of falsiness and truthiness and the use of bool function, the boolean function especially, and how this boolean data types play a very important role, and it's going to play for sure. And yeah, I think this is all I wanted to cover in this video. So with that, thank you everyone, and like, subscribe and share.